Section 1 of Verses. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Marianne. Verses by Frank H. Craig. Home. Though it be in tropic region, or in Greenland's icy clime, love for home and fireside ever stands the test of time. Old Friends. Last night I sat in my easy chair and my thoughts went back to you. I dreamed of days of long ago and of friendships tried and true. In my dreams I saw the beauty that nature unfolds in the spring. I heard in the trees of summer the most musical birds that sing. But neither the song of bird nor beauty that nature sends can fill the place in my heart that belongs to my old-time friends. Years may come and years may go, things of the earth may pass away, but courage will, to the end, endure, if only our friends will stay. In June. Listen to the mockingbird, 'neath a sky so clear and blue. Hearken to the robin's note, hear the wood thrush calling too. Through a grove of leafy trees, spruce and beech on either side, flows the noisy winding river like a thread of silver wide. The herd boy down the dewy lane drives the browsing cow along, and his merry whistled tune mocks the bird in its morning song. All nature is rejoicing this early morning in June. The herd boy and the songsters are fully with nature in tune. 'Tis ever thus where'er man may be, with smiling lips and steady heart. He finds enjoyment everywhere, if plays he well an honest part. The Woodchopper. 'Tis winter in the forest, and the dusk that follows day has come to meet the hillsides with banks of sober gray. A night bird's cry is heard from out the darkened sky. The screech owl calls his mate 'mong maples stark and high. A chopper from his labors adown the path is coming. A song of home and fireside his bearded lips are humming. Through fallen snow that covers the moss-embedded ground, the chopper's footsteps hurry with crinkle, crackle sound. He hears no call of cowbell, his stock is in the fold. The light from out his fireplace gleams like the purest gold. His supper hot and steaming is spread upon the table. No rich man's fare is this, no fashion marks its label. And humble though it be, this chopper's lowly cot, no nobler habitation with riches can be bought. For 'tis home, and home alone, whether mansion, tent, or cot, that makes a man forever contented with his lot. Our Trees. Had I the tongue of a poet, I would sing of our beautiful trees, from the maples of old Vermont to the redwoods facing the seas. I would sing of the wondrous beauty of forested valley and glen, of the love for forests and flowers implanted in the hearts of men. I would sing of birds in the forest, whose homes are built in the shade, of those melodious songsters for whom the treetops were made. I would sing of progress and wealth that comes from the wood of the tree, of what it has done for man in making a land that is free. My song would ever encourage the planting of forest and tree, for thus is conserved our resources, the states and the nation agree. End of section 1. Section 2 of Verses by Frank H. Craig. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Marianne. The Schoolboy. I know a schoolboy whose liking for school no weather at zero his ardor can cool. 'Tis school time, he cries, then hurries away, for comrades at school are shouting in play. As eager as any, this schoolboy of ours, for skating or shinny at all times and hours. But games he will stay till lessons are done, for 'tis in this way life's battles are won. Good luck to this boy, so eager for school, that nothing whatever his ardor can cool. More about corn. I like cornbread and butter, said little Johnny Zink. As long as I can have it, I'll be a happy gink. One other thing I like, said he, and that is corn and milk. I'd rather have a bowlful than wear a coat of silk. I like corn pudding, too, said he, that's cooked above a fire. Who says it's good for nothing? Such is a tarnal liar. It's me, said he, can eat a whole big Johnny cake, and not a single grumble will little Johnny make. This Johnny, in the winter, with all his cribbing done, began to think of Sally Jones. 'Twas her he'd almost won. From out of his ears of corn he chose the reddest one, then hied himself to Jones's, and there the job was done. And now this Johnny Zink, who raises corn to eat, has one to cook his corn that never can be beat. The Narcissus. Beautiful child of the starland, deep in the mold you thrive, taking from earth and from air the strength which keeps you alive. Up from your bosom in Maytime springs a blossom of purest white, which gives to the world a beauty that hallows both day and night. To your crown of crimson and gold, which resembles the Holy Grail, troop in numbers the insect world, from forest, from hill and dale. They take their fill of the nectar from your cup of purest gold, and leave for the children of men a wealth of fragrance untold. The Blacksmith. The village smithy stands in a hollow 'mong the hills. Sturdy is its roof-tree, and staunch its wooden sills. Wide open stands its door, where enters one and all. No rival has the blacksmith 'mong those who on him call. He shoes the ox or horse, then mends a wagon wheel. An auto stands awaiting its gas pipe to anneal. All day the blacksmith works, with sooty hands and face. To him, this man of labor, the grime has no disgrace. And when the day is done, and the air is growing chill, he takes the forest pathway to his home upon the hill. And humble though it be, this toiler's hillside cot, a happy home has he, contentment is his lot. A faded flower. Only a faded flower lying between two leaves, souvenir from a little friend for whom my heart still grieves. A dainty creature she, with heart so light and free, more like a graceful fawn she tripped along with me. Down the lane we wandered, myself once more a child, mild the June day breezes, and sweet the roses wild. I hear her gentle prattle, why are the roses red? And where do little girls go, when snugly tucked in bed? Her nimble fingers plucked one rose beneath a tree. With cheeks that rivaled roses, she handed it to me. Long years has she been gone, but still her hand I feel, and the odor of that rose still to my senses steal. End of section 2. Section 3 of Verses by Frank H. Craig. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Marianne. Sing to me. Sing to me a song of cheer on these cold December days, when the snow lies on the ground under clouds and slanting rays. Sing of days in Bethlehem, and of one who therein lay 'mong the cattle in a manger on that olden Christmas day. Sing of her, that mother, too, gentle as a brooding dove, on whose face there shone all that marks a holy love. Sing of brave men, tried and true, lying under fields of snow, of those others over there where the fields of poppies grow. Sing to me of deeds of kindness that are done throughout the year. Let the bells ring out the story so that all the world may hear. Sing to me of loving friendships and of handclasps firm and strong. May we reap in fullest measure from the merry Christmas song. Snowflakes. All day long since early morning, the silent flakes of snow have dropped from out a leaden sky, a steady, ceaseless flow. They build the snowdrift higher that lies along the ground. They cover deep the old stone walls till not a one is found. No wind from out of east or west to move a branch of tree. Heaped high the snow on every bush as far as eye can see. They mix the green with white in pine tree and the spruce. Such splendid starry crystals no other climes produce. They cover path, they cover road, till every trace is lost. They little care nor little heed the wealth they will exhaust. Yet the beauty and the pastimes that the snowflakes ever bring give to us the greatest pleasure till the coming of the spring. The Farmer. Before the open grate he sits and watches the embers glow. Outside the winds of winter drift high the frozen snow. Content is he, this farmer, for done is the work today. His family at his fireside, his children at their play. His cattle snugly sheltered, the season's work is done. His toil throughout the summer a competence has won. Heaped high the lean-to shed with knot, with stick and splinter, whose captive heat and ruddy glow defy the blasts of winter. He craves those pleasures not that city-wise are sent, for his family and his farm make up his heart's content. The North Wind. I am the wind of winter. I come from the land of snows. I've seen the mighty iceberg. I've heard the grinding floes. Beyond the Arctic circle I saw the polar bear. The silver fox I followed to the shelter of his lair. On Greenland's icy plain I saw the sturdy deer. I heard the howling wolf pack that fills the night with fear. I saw the flash of snowbird darting across the sky. Along the rocky coastline I heard the fulmars cry. I bring to plain and valley the cold of zero weather. I bind with icy fetters a many streams together. I am the Storm King's minion for nearly half the year. I sting, I whip, I bluster, till summer days appear. The Winter Elves. The gold of the leaves, the blue of the sky, the honk of the geese as southward they fly, tell us that autumn, with its wealth untold, is with us again, as in days of old. With trace of frostwork it proclaims its sway, and sends the winter elves a-riding this way. Elf folk that delight in tweaking the nose, and everything else, including the toes. In fancy we see them come trooping along, old elf and young elf, with dance and with song. They dance at midnight in the forest glade, beside the burrow that the rabbit made. They loop the fireflies with streamers of gold, and drive them tandem with raptures untold. 'Tis fun for the elves throughout the long night, till the rising sun provokes them to flight. Then tired and sleepy and cross are the elves, who hunt some dark place where they hide themselves. For only at night can these elves be seen, when the moon floods all with its silvery sheen. End of section 3. Section 4 of Verses by Frank H. Craig. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Marianne. Fall. There's a tide in the life of man when the work of the season is done, when the rewards for trials and toil have been gathered one by one. His strength and his youth are gone. They, like the leaves in the fall, have loosed their hold on the twig. No more will they strive at all. But man, like the leaves of the forest, has gathered the season's gold. By his deeds of kindness to others he is richer 100-fold. He has learned, as all must learn, as we near the parting of ways, that this helping one another is the only thing that pays. We need not fear the future, then, while watching our leaves to fall, for we know that a loving hand cares for the leaves and for all. Memories. From a corner of my garret comes a book that's badly worn. 50 years the dust has gathered on its pages creased and torn. As I turn its musty pages, in electric's magic glow comes a picture faintly stealing of those days of long ago, when upon the old school desk lay this book with covers blue, and my days were spent in conning word by word its lessons through. Well-remembered days were those, bright the meadow flowers grew, whirred the wings of ruffled grouse, high in air the wild geese flew. Sweat of brow and daily toil clarified the brain of man, filled his heart to overflowing as no modern pleasure can. Then the children gathered nightly round the fireside one by one. Pleasant was the home to them when their daily tasks were done. Daybreak on the farm. 'Tis daybreak on the farm, and from the stairway door comes, "Time to get up, boys, it's 4 o'clock or more." Down the stairs we hurry, rubbing our sleepy eyes, kick on boots of leather with many gusty sighs. One to the barnyard hurries, to milk the waiting kine, another to the corn crib, to feed the noisy swine. The horses, wide awake, are stamping in their stalls, for early morning rations each whinny loudly calls. Good measure quickly given, of corn, of oats and hay. In summer on the farm there is no time for play. Each collar freed from dirt, each harness buckled on, the brimming pails of milk have to the cellar gone. The chores are done at last, the breakfast call is heard. To hungry girls and boys most welcome is the word. Those days have passed for us, no more they cause alarm, for early calls are banned on our rocky hillside farm. Winter Beauty. I love the wondrous beauty of these eastern hills at night, when the snow upon the ground sparkles with a spectral light, when the watchful partridge and the frisky squirrel red, snug and deeply buried, lie in a warm but wintry bed, when the birch tree and the maple darkened branches clearly show, and the spruce tree and the pine downward bend beneath the snow, when the sky o'er wooded slopes seldom shows a cloud in sight, and the stars above are hidden by the greater orb of night, when the runner of the sled crunches through the icy snow, and the fingers sting and tingle with old winter's fiery glow. Do you know that many people would enjoy the wondrous sight of these snow-clad hills on an eastern winter night? The Songster. A jolly brown thrush, high up in a tree, is singing a song that is music for me. Happy royster is he, this songbird of mine, who wakes with the sun on these mornings so fine. Swinging high on a branch of the old apple tree, he breaks forth in song, for he's happy and free. The cherries are gone, but the berries, I fear, will tempt his bright eyes in my garden so near. But why should I care, if with my fruit he makes free, while he pays with the songs that are music to me? End of section 4. Section 5 of Verses by Frank H. Craig. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Marianne. Boyhood Memories. My mind reverts to the farm where I lived when I was a boy, when the days were ever pleasant, and my heart was full of joy. Up with the lark in the morning, at work in the dewy air. Well I remember those days. Was there ever a world so fair? Then was a time for visions, for the future was all before. My mind like the golden eagle in the blue of the sky would soar. Life passes but slowly in youth, whether of city or farm, and those boyish dreams of mine lost something of glow and charm. But the pleasure of field and farm still lingers, an afterglow of the joys of my early boyhood in those days of long ago. The Homemade Apple Pie. Boyhood days have passed away like clouds across the sky, yet still can we remember the homemade apple pie. Scalloped at the edges, the crusts were ever thin, one above and one below, chock full of fruit within. A pinch of spicy nutmeg, a white and flaky crust, a pie that any boy could eat, and one that he could trust. No quarter, no, nor any half, was then enough for me. Why pies were ever cut at all was more than I could see. Though there were other pies with ratings very high, the one that suits me best is the homemade apple pie. Autumn. The leaves are changing their colors, the season is passing along. In forest, in meadow, and stubble, the cricket is singing his song. The birds of wood and of field are bidding the north good-bye. They know as well as we do that soon the snows will fly. The farmer has gathered his corn, his wood is piled for the year, potatoes are boxed in the cellar, the leaves in the meadow are sere. The summer has passed so quickly we know not whence it has gone. 'Tis ever thus for the worker that the seasons hurry on. But man is surely rewarded when the work of the year is done, if his toil throughout the summer a harvest of plenty has won. The Two Stars. In the eastern sky a star shines bright, as shone that star on Christmas night, when the shepherds watched from the barren hills, near Bethlehem, mid rocks and rills. That star looked down on a lowly bed, on a stable old, where the oxen fed. Under that star, on a Christmas night, was born the Prince of Truth and Right. Our star looks down on a troubled world, where greed is written on the flag unfurled. But the saving grace from that Christmas night will triumph at last for truth and for right. The Sparrow. Little brown birdie, they say that you're bad. I wonder if they know what a time you've had. Would man in your place, all hands against him, act better than you do, be any the less grim? In summer you're hot, and in winter you're cold. Why surprised should we be that you're naughty and bold? They say that you harm other birds on the nest. Are they sure you are worse than are some of the rest? That you turn things awry we all know to be true. But think of the good things that can be said about you. You cling to your friends, and you stand up for self. Is that so unnatural, be it man, bird, or elf? And do not the hands that care for us all take heed of the least of you sparrows that fall? End of section 5. Section 6 of Verses by Frank H. Craig. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Marianne. December 28th, 1924. Not a twig of tree is stirring. Straight the snowflakes gently fall from a sky of leaden color, through the tree-tops grim and tall, giving to each hill and valley warmest coat of purest white, that will cover woodfolk children with a darkness like the night. Shut in darkness is the woodchuck, so is squirrel in his den. E'en the snow-protected partridge has no fear of storm-tide men. Nature's buds and nature's flowers, in the flinty earth below, are protected and are nourished by these wintry flakes of snow. Beauty-giving flakes are they, gently settling as a dove. To mankind they will symbolize purity and nature's love. Some days. Some days are dark and stormy. No ray of light breaks through. But could we see beyond the clouds, we'd find the skies still blue. We'd find above those storm clouds low a sun that's brightly shining, and that the darkest cloud of all still has a silver lining. 'Tis thus at times in lives of men, as at their tasks they go, that life seems dark and dreary as storm clouds hanging low. But faith in the heart of man brightens the day's declining, as the sun in the sky above silvers the storm cloud's lining. Hepatica. Blue as the skies above, it catches the searcher's eye, as it clings to the rocky bluff, above where the snow-banks lie. From a mass of mottled leaves as warm as a squirrel's nest, this early flower of spring triumphant leads the rest. First is it of flowers gay to lure the drowsy bees, and first to shed a fragrance among the barren trees. Other flowers are pleasing in spring, in summer and fall, but for the lover of nature, Hepatica rivals them all. The Catbird. The catbird calls from out the tree, his home is close, he's watching me. Hidden somewhere, a grass-lined nest, his mate is there, he does the rest. He brings the worm, he scolds the dog, while she sits still, just like a log. But in that nest, if one could see, some birdies are, 1, 2, and 3. What is it for, this catbird's nest, these daily tasks and all the rest? A hidden page to you and me, whose blinded eyes may sometimes see. School Days, to the Class of 1925. Happy school days at Neponset. Fast those days have slipped away, but the lessons that you've learned will with you forever stay. Fundamentals there were taught by your teachers day by day. Truth and right have been their aims, from their teachings never stray. Friendships made in class and schoolroom, thoughts of tasks you've overcome, ought to fill your hearts with gladness through many years to come. Back you'll look from man's estate to this work you now complete. Then the thoughts that come to you will be filled with incense sweet. Happy days, these days of youth, when the world is all before, when the wealth of all the ages lies before you to explore. End of section 6. Section 7 of Verses by Frank H. Craig. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Marianne. The Chickadee. There's a snow-flecked birdie that comes down to my door, singing Chickadee-dee, 'tis his song o'er and o'er. He picks up the crumbs that I scatter for him, or drinks from the basin that's full to the rim. He may hold a big crumb with his little black feet, while he picks off a mouthful, which he hurries to eat. Or again he may take a big piece in his bill, then fly away quickly to a tree on the hill. I love this wee bird, and his songs manifold pay for all that he eats while the weather is cold. Laddie Boy. A little lad, a lad of 5, with toes so bare and brown, is standing by the fireside arrayed in spotless gown. This laddie boy so small is ready for his bed. There, soon the downy pillow will rest his tired head. But laddie boy is lonely, for his mother's far away. No more her arms enfold him, no more she hears him pray. Yet sometimes laddie thinks that mother's voice he hears, and in his dreams at night her loving face appears. Dear lonesome little lad, his mother's arms he misses, but most of all he longs for that mother's bedtime kisses. Old Chum. Old Chum, do you remember, when you and I were boys, how closely interwoven our actions, thoughts, and joys? Our homes were close together, a path across the way. The friendship there begun has never passed away. We found the reddest cherries, we'd snitched some apples too. We mounted high the robin tree to find its eggs of blue. We trode a country roadside upon our way to school. We waded deep in summer in muddy brook and pool. Do you remember, surely, that schoolroom's dusty floor, the rush we made at noontime throughout its battered door? Nor have you yet forgotten, though it may cause you gloom, how often we were standing in some corner of that room. The neighbors said, we two were birds alike in feather, and well we filled the saying, for we surely flocked together. Those times had passed away. We've grown much more sedate, but time can never fully those days obliterate. On Woodman Hill. A winsome lass, a lass of 10, with cheeks of healthy brown, is out with sled on Woodman Hill above the river town. She coasts adown the winding road, through frost and winter air. 2 braids stream out behind her, of silky golden hair. She skims the ice-bound roadbed, like birds upon the wing. The hiss-like crunch of runners throughout the stillness ring. Before the ancient bridge is reached where swift the river flows, her cheeks of brown had taken on the color of the rose. Oh, winsome lass on Woodman Hill, these days of youth will pass. The youthful pleasures of today no others can surpass. My Garden. I like to plant a garden, no matter where it be, to care for it, to water it, it's much of fun for me. To see a baby seedling put forth a tiny sprout fills me with a rapture that truly is devout. I love to see my garden a sparkle in the dew, bright jewels of the sun that morn by morn renew. I like to see my garden grow up from tiny seeds, to shelter it and water it, to pull its noisome weeds. And when that garden ripens with fruit of every kind, I'm as proud an owner as one can ever find. End of section 7. Section 8 of Verses by Frank H. Craig. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Marianne. 20 below. There's frost upon the window, there's frost in the morning air. It tingles toes and fingers while coming down the stair. Bedecked our kitchen windows with silver ferns and leaves. Among them hang the icicles, stalagmites from the eaves. Outside the waning moonlight reflects from frozen snow a million sparkling diamonds that brightly come and go. The river in its channel is held with bands of ice. Its noisy running waters no more the birds entice. The squirrel and the partridge are buried in the snow. 'Tis nature's wise provision for her children here below. A tinge of red across the sky proclaims the coming day. 'Twill turn the silver into gold and drive the frost away. Tell it with wood. From the eastern main to the western seas, tell it with wood from our forest trees. Aye, tell it with wood, the strongest and best that money can buy in the east or the west. Preserve and conserve the wood-clad hills, their shaded nooks, their silvery rills. For forest and hill were a gift to man, a wonderful gift in a wonderful plan. The Great Storm, November 3rd, 1927. November clouds hang low, no sign of eastern sun. For 30 hours and more the storm its race has run. The hillside brook becomes a river in the night, its foaming cataracts a wondrous pretty sight. No bank can hold the river, man's tiny force it mocks. It sweeps with thunder noise, one rock 'gainst other rocks. It cuts new water channels and batters down the bridges. It takes its own detritus and heaps it into ridges. Two-faced the Storm King is. He may be good or bad, but we prefer him always when good, not when he's mad. John Horse. John Horse was once a colt that spent its time in play, or fed on hillside meadows throughout the summer day. John feared no cold in winter, his master was his joy. John followed him about, this life he did enjoy. In youth John's loving master grew up to man's estate. The coltish Johnny Horse took on some added weight. For them no more the days were spent in idle play. Such days for both of them forever passed away. The youth became a doctor kind and true. Many were the snowdrifts that Johnny took him through. Long years of service done, while seasons passed away. Long days of steady work, while both were turning gray. The people loved the doctor, this doctor tried and true. But let us not forget that Johnny loved him too. The Stranger. A stranger, old and weary, is slowly making his way through darkness and the storm, at the close of a winter day. Torn and old is his clothing, his hair is wet with the snow. Lost and alone in the valley, he knows of no place to go. Through the gently falling snow, the light of a candle shines from a cabin on the hillside, below the snow-covered pines. He follows the candle's gleam and feebly knocks at the door. Shelter and food he humbly craves, then drops to the log-hewn floor. Kind hands minister quickly to the needs of this aged one. They care for him as gently as they would for an erring son. When morning came to the cabin, and sun through the window shone, surprise came to the cottagers, a delight before unknown. For on the stand by the bedside, where had lain the stranger frail, there stood in all its splendor that holy of cups, the Grail. End of section 8. Section 9 of Verses by Frank H. Craig. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Marianne. Our Maples. In the spring, when life is waking under drifts of wintry snow, then our grand old maples waken and their sap begins to flow. 'Mong the pine trees of the forest, where is heard the partridge call, flaunt these trees a wondrous beauty from the late spring through the fall. Deep their roots have taken hold of the moss-covered stony ledge, and they stand with spreading arms e'en beyond its flint-like edge. Themes are they for pen and artist, in October's rosy glow, when the hills are brightly decked, as no other lands can know. Stand they firm in winter season, like the watchman on the Rhine. To Vermont they represent greater wealth than flock or mine. Woodman, spare our sugar maples, let them stand on hillside slope, for these trees so strong and hardy give to farming greater scope. 'Mong the Hills. Not soon shall I forget this climb among the hills, the azure skies above me, the nearer sound of rills. There comes upon the air the song of warbling bird, it echoes 'mong the hills, none sweeter ever heard. That snow-clad line afar, the distant ranges mark, the trees upon their slopes are densely massed and dark. Below me lies a valley, and there a winding stream, it sparkles in the sunlight with many a dancing gleam. There's beauty in the valley, with its cattle and its crops, but the beauty of the hills is seen from on their tops. Shadows. When evening comes and the night shuts out the light of day, one by one the stars come out to drive the gloom away. E'en when the clouds hang lowest, with darkness like the night, somewhere above these clouds the sun is shining bright. A storm may sometimes mar a lovely rose's bloom, yet still that rose may shed a wondrous sweet perfume. Sometimes troubles come to man that cause him much dismay, till friendly hands reach out to help him on his way. For every cloud that darkens there is a gleam of light. For every day that saddens there are others that requite. My Old Sweetheart. A bonny, bonny lassie was that sweetheart old of mine, who won my heart and kept it in the days of auld lang syne. Her eyes were like the stars, and her form of fairy mold. The hair that hid her smiling face shone like the purest gold. She smiled for me alone in those days of long ago. My heart still holds her sacred, no others care I to know. The years have passed away, there is silver among the gold, but the love for my old sweetheart has never, never grown cold. Down the pathway of life we've wandered to and fro, but still she smiles for me as in the days of long ago. No fears had I at all of future storm nor tide, for that sweetheart old of mine was standing by my side. And when I cross the sunset bar, pushing outward towards the sea, may she, that loved companion, go hand in hand with me. Vermont. Beautiful land of sunshine, land of rocks and of hills, where leap the laughing waters of thousand noisy rills, where birds in early springtime make merry in every tree, and flowers bloom uncounted on hillside pastures and lea, where meadows in the June time blood red with berries flaunt, the hill tops crowned with maples, the pride of old Vermont. 'Tis ever a land of beauty in seasons throughout the year, a subject for the artist, a theme for poet and seer. No humble tongue of mortal has ever power to tell one half the wondrous beauty of hill, of valley, of dell. End of section 9. Section 10 of Verses by Frank H. Craig. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Marianne. In Winter. When the snow is on the ground, and the hearth fire blazes red, there is music in the air, though the birds have southward fled. Merry sleigh bells and their jingle, crunching runners through the snow, make sweet music in the land where the winds of winter blow. E'en the blossom of the Southland and the rose tree of the West lose their glamour in our eyes when the spruce with snow is dressed. Where such beauty as is seen on these mornings crisp and cold, when the sun in splendor paints shades of crimson and of gold. Were we exiled at this time to those warmer southern seas, we should miss the whitened hills, we should miss the snow-clad trees. The Thread Girl. At work by the counter in a space 2x4 is the girl who sells thread for the 10-cent store. With fingers that are nimble and a step that is light, she waits on her customers from morning till night. She works with a will that is pleasant to see. Her face, like the Maytime, is ever care-free. The tint of good health which mantles her cheek needs not the color that the fashionable seek. For the girl who is busy in a space 2x4, just look to the thread counter of the 10-cent store. When der Wind heads down der River. When der Wind heads down der River, dem's der times we alle shiver. Shiver lick a tremblin' leaf in der eddies round der reef. Dem's der mornings dat der clothes never cover all der toes. Dem's der mornings dat der nose turns der color of der rose. Und der fingers sting and tingle like our fader's pine tree shingle. In der dot it makes us shiver when der wind heads down der river. Dem's der mornings, bright and early, our old rooster, big and burly, dat old rooster meddlin' cock, makes more noise than 'larum clock. Und he wakes us from der sleep, dat vas broad as it vas deep. Darn dat meddlin' rooster cock, with his loud old 'larum clock. How we hate to think of it, we do lick it, not one bit, when der wind begins to quibber, like he's a headin' down der river. The New Star. One winter night, long, long ago, the shepherds sang with voices low, while tending sheep on Judah's hills, compassed about by brooks and rills. The stars above, their guide at night, they knew them all, each satellite. Their wonder grew that winter night, a brighter star hove on their sight. They saw this star, a blazing gem. It stood above fair Bethlehem. Washington's Birthday. Eyes of freemen turned today towards Mount Vernon's rising sun, filled our hearts to overflowing with a love for Washington. Washington, our Washington, brave and staunchest of the ages, just his cause, the justest ever told by history in its pages. Let the nations laud their heroes, tell of battles they have won. None can ever dim the luster of our noble Washington. We inherit both the glory and the tasks that he begun. Let us hold them ever sacred as we prize our Washington. End of section 10. Section 11 of Verses by Frank H. Craig. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Marianne. Come April breezes. Come quickly, April breezes. Bring back the gentle shower. Draw forth the frosts of winter, and start the early flower. Start the sap its upward course in all our maple trees. Bring forth that sappy sweetness which lures the drowsy bees. Breathe on the rocky hillside, where sleeps the violet blue. Reach down beneath the snowdrift, and nature's buds renew. Bring back the cawing crow, release the ice-locked river. Drive back those northern blasts that make us ever shiver. Come quickly, April breezes, we look for you today. We know by all the omens you're now upon your way. March. March is a month of changes, of winds, of rain, and of cold. What else could be expected? Old winter is losing his hold. He is on his way to the north, carrying his ice and snow. 'Tis a joy for us to know it. He surely is going, but slow. The birds will follow him closely. They will sing in the trees above. The sun and the rain together will bring the flowers we love. 'Tis easy to keep one's courage this dreary month of the year, for April and May are coming. They are now on the way and near. Sabbath Morn. The sun rose bright o'er eastern hill, bathing with light my window sill. The song of bird in shrub and tree spoke to me of a life that's free. Glinted the river through the trees, moved the leaves in every breeze. Every dewdrop a diamond bright, alchemist formed overnight. One smoke rose above them all. 'Twas the pastor's austere and tall. First was he, of Scotland born, to break the quiet this Sabbath morn. Free from toil and steady grind as any haven that one can find, in this village among the hills, flanked about by brooks and rills, river and hill and tree adorn this quiet place on Sabbath morn. Childhood Memories. Back to the days of childhood does memory turn tonight. We see again the kitchen walls, and the firelight gleaming bright. The old clock stands upon the shelf, and near it the spinning wheel patiently waits for busy hands at the close of the evening meal. A candle shines from the center of the table, oaken and old. In the corners round about lurk shadows grotesque and bold. The men-folks in from the stable, with chairs tipped back to the wall, like Rover, tired and hungry, are waiting the supper call. Coarse was the food, but plenty, and rude was that humble home, but who can ever forget it, though far from its portals we roam? No picture of modern times, however skilful the art, can erase the visions of childhood, so dear to the human heart. Christmas Night. While the snows are deep without, and the winds of winter blow, we sit by the old, old fireplace and watch the embers glow. Heaped high are the coals therein, and the flames dance to and fro, brightening the walls of the room and its wreaths of mistletoe. Uncle within his easy-chair, and I by the table old, are talking of olden times, of their pleasures manifold. We talk of long-lost faces, of friends made long ago, and through the halls of memory their voices come and go. Our hearts are filled with sorrow as we think of the loving ties that bind us to these dear ones who have passed beyond the skies. Through all the world tonight the Christmas bells are ringing, but sweeter still those loved ones are with the angels singing. End of section 11. Section 12 of Verses by Frank H. Craig. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Marianne. The Fog. A fog cloud hangs heavy in the valley below. Not a breath of air stirs the leaves to and fro. Through a rift in the fog, on the side of the hills, a line of green trees, an open space fills. The valley is quiet, as the leaves on the trees. Not a whistle is heard, not a person one sees. Not even the murmur of a brook is heard, nor song from the trees of cricket or bird. For the fog, like a pall, is damper to life. It shuts from the world its sunlight and strife. Illinois. Illinois, your home, my home, with soil that's rich and deep, where fields of waving grain for miles the prairies sweep. Her rivers and her lake, beneath our flag unfurled, carry many useful products to the markets of the world. 'Tis a gem among the lands that encircle all the earth, where of noble deeds and actions there has never been a dearth. Of this land, our Illinois, let us ever then be proud. Let us ever, ever love it. Let us sing its praises loud. For our state or any state will be great or will be small, as they live and think within it, one by one her people all. Iowa. Land where gentle breezes blow, land where streams of silver flow, we love her hills, her waving grain, her winter's cold, her summer's rain. From east to west her prairies sweep, O'er streams and lake with trout a leap. There grazing flocks on rolling lea Reach farther than the eye can see. Across her bosom fathoms deep Sailing cloud shadows slowly creep, And rising sun at early morn Deck with jewels her waving corn. Stalwart her men, her women fair, In war, in peace, she does her share. When state and nation on her call, She stands as firm as China's wall. End of Section 12, and end of Verses by Frank H. Craig.